You went to prison for some period of time, and then you were also deported, and then you came back.
Crime Tracker.
It was a cycle the court had seen before, but rarely with this level of defiance. Rodrigo Lopez had already served time in a federal prison for narcotics trafficking. He had been formally removed from the country, a legal door shut tight. But for Lopez, that door was merely a suggestion. He slipped back into the U.S., not for a new life, but to return to the very trade that cost him his freedom the first time. This wasn't a small-scale operation. Rodrigo was the architect, the primary contact for an undercover sting and a confidential informant. He was the one arranging the sale of a substantial quantity, 166 grams of narcotics. His brother, Juan Loza, acted as the transporter, moving the weight for delivery. Together, they were caught in a trap set by law enforcement that ignored their history and focused on the present danger they posed to the community. When asked by the judge how he could fall back into the same behavior after prison and deportation, Rodrigo's answer was a bleak look into the system. He claimed he didn't learn rehabilitation in prison, instead, he learned addiction. He argued that he returned to the U.S. because it was the only home he knew, having been brought here from Mexico as a child. He spoke of a good heart and a struggle he couldn't escape, but the judge remained focused on the ledger of the law. The defense touched on the sensitive political nature of dreamers, those brought to the country as children. But for the bench, the politics ended where the trafficking began. The judge acknowledged the complexity of the issue but stated clearly that as a matter of criminal justice, the choice to distribute drugs that hurt a lot of people outweighed the defendant's personal history.
In these cases at the same time for convenience sake, any reason why we shouldn't do that?
I don't think so, Your Honor.
All right.
As to Rodrigo Lopez, as the court's aware, he has a prior conviction, federal conviction for trafficking, has previously been removed from the country, has illegally re-entered the country, and he was the individual who was in contact with the confidential informant and undercover officers arranging for the sale of this substantial quantity of 166 grams. Juan Loza, his brother, though, is the one who was delivering it, was found to be in possession of it, was transporting it for delivery.
I'm curious. So you're arrested, charged, and convicted of this once before. You went to prison for some period of time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you were also deported.
Yes, sir.
And then you came back. How is it that you fall into the same sort of behavior after you come back? I don't understand how that happens.
Because people think that prison is rehabilitating you, and it's not. There's drugs in there, and I became an addict in there. And when I came home, I was already an addict, so I didn't know what to do, how to escape. I don't want to blame nobody. I blame myself for allowing people to get into my head and my mind, but I was really struggling, and a buddy of mine needed help, and I have a good heart, so I helped him, and I got put in this position. I learned that, not everybody has the best interest in you. Some people just want to see you hurt. I came home from prison an addict, and I couldn't escape it. I should have been in treatment, but I've been going through a lot. It's been hard, but I realized that, that I'm still here for a reason, so I got to keep challenging and keep fighting, and I can't just give up and hurt people and hurt others. Life is precious, and you got to, one day you got to wake up and just realize that, God is in control of everything, and you got to change and be better.
I just incidentally wanted to bring to the court's attention that originally both Rodrigo and his brother were brought here as children from Mexico, I think between the ages probably 6 and 8 or so. So he was raised in this area, so all of his family's really still here. That's, I believe, one of the reasons he wanted to come back with his family, to be here.
This amount of drugs hurts a lot of people. I get the point that Mr. Helbling makes that the dreamers, or whatever you want to call them, people who were brought to this country as young children, or a difficult sort of political issue to deal with, but not necessarily that difficult for me to deal as a criminal justice issue. Bottom line, I do find that you're both indigent for the purposes of fines and costs. I am going to impose an 8 to 12 year prison sentence on each of you. I think that you should each serve this sentence before the federal government does anything with you, but that's beyond my control. I'm remanding you to the custody of the county sheriff for transport to the prison.
The hammer finally fell. For their roles in the trafficking operation and Rodrigo's illegal re-entry, the judge handed down a sentence of 8 to 12 years in prison for both brothers. They were remanded to the custody of the sheriff, facing a decade behind bars before the federal government would once again decide their fate. A second chance wasn't just wasted, it was traded for a sentence they will be regretting for years.
Crime Tracker.